Remember to write your student number, those who are joining now, to write your student number on the chat. And at the end of the session, please don't forget to complete the feedback form. Okay, so let's start with today's session. We're going to look in the first 30 minutes, we're going to look at simple interest, and then we're going to take about 5 minutes break in between and then come back and do the compound interest. And we might take 10 minutes, but it won't be the real 10 minutes. During that period, you will be doing some exercises. So feel free to stand up, do anything you want to do. And then we will start again at 4 o'clock when we look at how to use your financial calculator to calculate the compound interest. So let's start. So in the beginning, we're going to start looking at the simple interest, and that's what we're going to concentrate in this first 30 minutes. What is simple interest? Simple interest is just the amount you pay or the amount you get. When you borrow money, you pay that amount over at the beginning. Or if you're saving money, is the money you will get, is the interest you will get at the end of your saving period. And that is the interest. It is just your amount. And because it's simple interest that we're interested in, it is always payable as a fraction of the money that you have borrowed. And it's calculated during that particular period. And it's always going to be payable at the beginning of the term. Because it's a once-off, it's calculated once off at the beginning of the term. And the formula you're going to use to calculate interest, remember, interest is just the money, the amount. It's 100 rand, 200, 300, 5,000 is the interest. And to calculate interest, we use the principal amount multiplied by the period you're borrowing, multiplied by the rate you are going to be charged. So the P will represent your present value or your principal amount. It means it's there. If you are saving 10,000 rand, that 10,000 rand is your present value or your principal amount. If you are borrowing 10,000, that 10,000 is your present value or your principal amount. Your R is your rate, which is the percentage. And remember, interest rates you do not round off. So if it's 7.5, you divide that by 100 and it's going to be 0.75. We always use a decimal. The T is your period, which means for how long you are taking out that money. So you borrowing that money for 3 years, for a year, for 2 years, for 15 years. That is your period. And we always use the period in years. So for example, if they give you the period and they say you want to borrow money and pay it back in 6 months. 6 months is not a year, so you need to convert that into a year by dividing by the number of months. If it was, you want to pay that amount in 1 quarter, a quarter is not a year, you will need to divide that by 4 to get it to a year. And that's how you convert it back to a year. There will be scenarios where, for example, when we do the compound interest, you don't have to remember that you need to convert because then it will have already been compounded. But for simple interest, you always have to convert it to a year. So let's look at an example. Before we look at an example, similar to how we calculate the interest, which is the amount, we are able to calculate the discount. And a discount also, it's just the amount. And for a simple discount, we use the principal amount times the discount rate, which is also going to be the percentage, times the period, which will be for how long you're getting that discount rate for. And those are the two formulas. They calculate the amount one for the interest amount and one to calculate the discount amount. Let's say I want to calculate the future value. I don't know what's happening with my mouse. I want to calculate the future value of the simple interest. Knowing for sure that the future value will include my present value plus my interest will tell me what my future value is. And I know that my principal amount is P, and I know my interest is I. Remember, we said interest is equals to I. And I know that if my interest is I, the formula to calculate interest is P times R times T. So I can substitute that into that formula. And that will give me my future value. So it means I have my principal amount plus my interest, which is principal amount times interest times the period. And in short, if I take out P as a factor out and I get the future value of a simple interest formula to be P times 1 plus R plus times T, because if I multiply by P across inside the bracket, I will get P plus PRT. And this is the formula you will get in the exam. So you will get in the exam, you must look at the back of your past exam paper because it gives you a guidance of which formulas you get in the exam. You will see that they give you the formula to calculate interest, which is I is equals to PRT, and they also give you the formula to calculate the future value of your interest, simple interest. If they ask you to calculate the present value of your interest, you need to make P the subject of the formula. So it means you will divide S by 1 plus RT. So let's look at this example. You borrow an amount of 7,500 at an interest rate of 15% per annum. What will you have to pay back if you repay your loan within 4 months? So what am I given here? I am given my P, which is my present value. I am given my interest, which is my R as my interest, which I can write it as 0.15 because I divide 15 by 100, I get 0.15. They're asking, what will you have to pay back? So it means the question is asking me to calculate my S, which is my future value. And they say that loan is payable in 4 months. And 4 months is not in years. So it means if it's 4 months, I must divide it by 12 in order for me to get my T, which is my period. So the formula I know is S is equals to P times 1 plus RT. And I substitute the values. Since I've already highlighted which values I have, then I can go and substitute those values into the formula. My P is 7,500 times 1 plus my rate of 0.15, multiply that with my period of 4/12. It is always advisable that you do 4 divided by 12 outside and then substitute the value inside, because then your calculation becomes so cluttered inside. And if I solve the brackets, 0.15 multiplied by 4/12, I get 0.05. If I add to 1, it becomes 1.05. And 1.05 times 7,500 times 1.05, the answer I get is 7,875. And that's how you calculate simple interest. And if I am calculating the future value of a simple interest payable. In the exam, they will tell you at a simple interest rate of 15%. You don't have to scratch your head and think, what are they talking about? They will tell you that that interest is a simple interest. You just need to identify that this is the formula to calculate the future value, regardless of what the question is asking you. Sometimes the question might ask you, calculate the period, and they give you the future value, and they give you the present value, and they give you the interest, and they ask you, how long will it take you? So it means they're asking you to calculate T. You just make T the subject of the formula. And I think we did that in the past. We looked at how we solve the equations, and you apply the same concepts here. Okay. There you have your exercise, your first exercise. But I'm going to take you through this first exercise. The first exercise is asking you, John invests 36,000 at simple interest rate. There they are telling you at simple interest rate, then automatically you know that this is the formula you're going to be using. And they give you at 6% per annum or per year, how long will it take Joseph to invest for his investment to grow to 55,000? So if I look at this question, what am I given? I am given my present value. I am told this is my simple interest. I already identified my formula, and I am given my rate, which I need to divide this rate by 100, which is going to be 0.06. And they're asking me how long, and the how long is T. So it means they're asking me to calculate T. So I must make T the subject of the formula. And they say that investment will have to grow to 55,440. Therefore, they have given me my future value. And you need to substitute into the formula and calculate. I will see you in 5 minutes. And remember, when you have your answer, you can post it on the chat. Remember, when you already have your answers, you can post them on the chat. Okay, I see a couple of you are already posting. So it means a couple of you have already done the exercise. So without wasting any time, let's help those who are not able to find the answer. Who is willing to do this exercise with me? Nobody. Nobody is volunteering themselves. Okay.
I can try.
Okay. Let's do it.
We have to make T the subject of the formula. So what I first did is to divide both sides by P.
Okay. Then P, the side will cancel out.
Yeah.
And you will be left with 1 plus RT. Yes.
Yes. And then I subtract 1 both sides.
Okay. Then 1 this side will cancel out. You will be left with RT. And on the other side, you will have S divided by P minus 1.
Yeah. And then I divide both sides with R as well.
So R this side will cancel out. You will be left with T. And on the other side, you will still be S divided by P minus 1. Divide everything by R. And that's what you got. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yes.
And then we'll just write the digits there of the future amount, which is 5,440 divided by 36,000, everything minus 1 over 0.06 equals to T.
Yes.
And then what I got is 9 after doing all the calculations.
Okay, so I'm going to do the calculation step by step. So 55,500 or 440 divided by 36, you get 1,54 subtract 1 divided by 0,06. And therefore your T 1 minus 1,54 minus 1, you left with 0,54. And when you divide that by 0,06, your T becomes 0,54 divided by 0,06. You can switch off, you can turn off your microphone now. Thank you. 0,54 divided by 0,06 will give us 9,0 years or 9 years, which is option number 3. Thank you so much for helping us. Okay, any question? Anyone with a question? If there are no questions, your next exercise. Kindly signs an agreement to pay 20,000 15 months from now. The simple discount rate is 12.5% per annum. The discounted amount she will receive now, it will be. So the question here is, they are asking you to calculate what will be the discounted amount that she will receive. So what are we given? That's the first thing that you need to always, if I know that I am doing a simple discount rate, that will be my formula. But I'm also given here my principal amount of my present value, and I am also told 15 months ago, which is my T. Remember, you will have to convert it to a year. So 15 months, you will have to divide it by the 12 months. And I'm also given the interest, which is the discount, which is small d, which is the discount rate per annum. And you're going to calculate the discount amount, but the question is asking you what is the discounted amount, not the discount. The discounted amount will mean you're going to take your present value and subtract your discount amount in order for you to be able to get your final discounted amount that you will receive. And that's your exercise. And it will also include that 5 minutes break that we are taking, and we will come back at 4 o'clock. At 1:30. So we can do the exercise now. Don't wait until it's at the end. If you don't understand what you need to do, just ask. Mm. Okay, who wants to do this one? Hello? Anyone?
I can do it again if there's no one wants to do it.
Okay.
I'm not sure though on this one. So we already have our formula there. So we must first find the discounted amount. Let's just substitute the values. The present amount is 20,000 multiplied by 15 over 12. Multiplied by 0,125. What I actually do is
15 over 12, it's the period. It's your period, which will be 15 divided by 12.
Yes.
And the discount, which is the small d, is 12,5 divided by 100, which gives us 0,125. And
yes,
that's the value you are substituting. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, what I actually do, I just use my calculator there. I didn't go step by step. Is it fine? I can give you what I got. Then yes. I got 3,125.
Because 20,000 times 0,1, 0,12, 15 times 0,125 will give you 3,125, and that is your discount amount. Yes. So how do you get the discounted amount?
You just subtract 3,125 from 20,000.
And that will give you
16,875.
Because we're looking for the discounted amount. Okay, and that's how you answer the question in the exam when they ask you about simple interest or simple discount. You always going to use the formula. Yes.
I just want to find out from you the 20,000 is it's like the principal amount, right? And that is how much she has loaned.
Yes.
And in 15 months from now, she has to pay back that same 20,000.
But it's discounted.
The discount amount she receives. Like she's not receiving any money.
Remember, it is discounted, that 25,000 that she will receive 15 months from now.
Hello? Are you still there?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, I am still here. Yes.
So this is this is a loan of 20,000 Rand, right?
Yes.
And she needs to pay it back within 15 months.
Yes, but remember, she will have to pay the 20,000, which is discounted by 12.5. We want to know how much is the discounted amount will be.
That she needs to pay.
No, that she will receive. She will.
I don't understand.
Sorry, that she will. Yes, it's the same thing that she will have to pay, which is the same. Remember, if she's going to be paying 20,000, she's not going to be paying that 20,000 in 15 months because she receives a discounted amount of 3,000 Rand. So in 15 months, therefore it means the amount that she will be paying off, which is the received amount that she will have to pay off, will be the 16,000 Rand that she's paying off.
Okay, so she's receiving 20,000, but she's only paying back 16,000.
Yes, in 15 months because it is discounted with 12.5.
Okay.
Remember, when you go borrow money, you receive the money. But instead of her being of her receiving the 20,000 that she needs to pay off in 15 months, that 20,000 is discounted with 12.5. And then how much she will receive in order for her in 15 months that she will pay off, she will only have to pay off the 16,000. That is discounted amount.
Okay, so I just don't understand how you loan 20,000 and then you pay back less than what you loaned, and when
No,
there's
you're not paying less than what you loan because you are paying less than what you loan, but because it is discounted, you must okay, differentiate the two. There is a simple interest where if I borrow 20,000, how much do I pay back when I paid at the rate of 12.5 for 15 months? I will be paying, I'm including that interest. If I'm doing a discounted amount, remember this is a loan. With the loan,
Yes.
they will pay her 20,000 and then she has to pay that 20,000 back. We're not interested in the amount that she has to be paying back, the future value or anything like that. All what we're interested in this discount is instead of her paying the 20,000, if it's
Okay.
discounted that 20,000, how much she will then now receive in the bank in order for her to pay in the 15 months, and that is the discounted amount that she will have to pay.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Yeah, this will never happen in the real world, but yeah, I understand.
Yes. Okay. Like I said, with simple interest, we use the formulas, and the two formulas you will get in the exam, which is the interest, and you will also get the future value of your interest formula in the exam. If they ask you to calculate the T, which is the period or the rate, you will have to make them the subject of the formula. Like, for example, with the present value, you will have to make P the subject of the formula, and it means you have to manipulate the equation. And that is simple interest. You always use formulas. Whether you have a financial calculator or scientific calculator, we're always going to use the formulas. Okay, so any question? Then we move to compound interest.
Ma'am, please go back to the formulas quickly.
You done?
One moment.
Remember, you only need to write the two formula. I is equals to PRT and S is equals to P times 1 plus RT. Those are the only two formulas. The P divided by S, you will have to derive it from the future value formula, like we did when we calculated T.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, compound interest. In this section, we will discuss the compound interest, and we will eventually, in the next section, we will do the compound interest on our financial calculators. But for now, we're all going to do it manually using the formula. And compound interest is interest you pay on top of interest. When you borrow money and you have to pay compounded, you have to pay a compounded interest. It means if I borrow money and I say I'm going to pay on a monthly basis, therefore it means my interest, if it's 12%, it's going to be split into 12 months. And then it means every month I'm going to pay the proportion of that 12% across the 12 months from the money I borrowed. But the next month it will be the interest of the previous month plus the present value of the previous month included in one, which will be the future value of that first month. It will be included in my second month. And then in the third month, I pay the same. It means that is why compound interest is called interest on top of interest, because you pay interest that you paid. Let's say it's January, February, and March. This is March. In January, you paid interest. February, you paid interest. March, when you pay the interest in March, it will also include in the principal amount that they calculate, they will also include your present value and interest of in the beginning, plus the interest of February, and you calculate the interest for this month. So that's why it is interest on top of interest. In short, the formula we use for compound interest is for the future value of the compound interest is S is equals to P times 1 plus RT to the power T. You need to remember the following. Because it's compounded, the formula comes like this. But you need to remember outside to divide your compounding, your R or your rate with the compounding period, and to multiply your period with the compounding period. You always need to remember that. Those who are using financial calculators, don't worry. With the financial calculator, you don't have to remember all this, because on your financial calculator steps, they will be catered for when you first put in your compounding periods, and then when you calculate your interest, you don't even have to worry about putting multiplying it, because the calculator in the background knows that you have put in the compounding periods and it needs to multiply, or it needs to divide by the compounding period. The only time you're going to remember is to multiply by pressing the second function n when you do the period, because you need to remember to multiply with the compounding period. But those who are using manual calculations, like using the formula, you always, in the back of your mind, you must always remember that your rate, you divide by the compounding period, and your period, you multiply with the compounding periods. Okay. So let's look at what are the compounding periods. So the compounding periods, for example, if it's day, it's 365 because it's daily. If it's week, it's a weekly, it's 52 weeks. If it's monthly, there are 12 months. If it's quarterly, there are 4, which is the same as 3 months. Biannually, there are 2 because it's every 6 months of the calendar, and yearly it's always going to be 1. You need to know this by heart because they're not going to give it to you. So you need to know that for daily as well, we always use the full calendar. We don't take into considerations the leap year. So it's always going to be calculated with 365. Okay. And this is just the example of what I just alluded from the formula. Remember to divide your interest by the compounding periods. For example, if my interest is 12% and my compounding periods are monthly, I will divide my compounding period by 12 and I get, sorry, I will divide my interest rate by 12 and I get 0.01. And because I'm multiplying my period with the compounding periods, and if it's monthly, then it will be, if my period is 2 years, it will be 2 times 12, which will give me 24. You just need to remember all this. Let's look at an example. Let's say we want to calculate the compounded amount of 500 invested for 10 years at 7.5 per annum, and it's compounded annually. We know the formula. It's S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. We are given our present value, which is P. We are also given our period, which is T. And we are also given our interest or our rate, which is R. And we are also given our compounding periods, which is annually. So this is our compounding period. So for our rate, 7.5 is the same as 0, it's 7.5, which is 0.075. And our compounding periods it's 1. So it means I need to remember that my period of 10, I must multiply by the compounding period, which is 1, which is also the same as that period. And I must also remember to divide my rate with the compounding periods, and I know that my compounding periods is 1, so it's the same as 0.75. And then I can substitute into the formula, and when I substitute, S is equals to 500 times 1 plus, remember I've already divided my rate with my compounding period, so it's 0.075, and I multiplied my period with my compounding periods, or my term with my compounding periods, which is 10 multiplied by 1, which is the same as 10, and I solve the equation. I start with what is inside the bracket, which will give me 1.075 to the power of 10 multiplied by 500. Then I take the power, and I get 2.06103, multiply that by 500, and the answer I get is 1,030 Rand 52 cents. And that's how you find the compound interest. Since we're going to be doing this manually, then you have a question. You have an exercise. Do you have any questions? If there are no questions, we have an exercise to do. But before that, like with the simple interest, the only formula you will get in the exam, it is just S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. The others you will have to derive from that formula. The tricky part, especially for those with no financial calculator, is to always remember to do the following. When you calculate the interest rate, you must do it correctly because your R has the power on it. So you need to do this thing correctly. And when you calculate the T, you must remember to use the logarithm because you need to make T the subject of the formula, and T, because it's in the power, you have to bring it down by using the logarithm. And when you use the logarithms, you need to apply the correct rules of logarithms to manipulate that equation. And those are the formulas you will have to derive in the exam because you only get that one formula. And there is your first question. Sam invested 6,800 at 12% interest per annum, compounded monthly. The number of months he has to wait for this to grow to a 9,165.37 cents, and then get the answer and round it to 2 decimal places. So they also telling you how many decimals they are looking for this. So they are looking for the number of months. So it means the answer you see, it will be in months because it will be compounded. What are we also given? We are given our P, which is our present value. We are given our rate, which is our R. We are told what the compounding periods are, our compounding period, and we are asked to calculate T. And they say we must wait until the amount grows to, which is our S. And with that, please solve the equation. Make T the subject of the formula.
Sorry, Lizzie.
Yes?
Yes, I don't know if it's only on my side. I can't see anything here.
You will need to go out and come back into the meeting. It's on your side. Okay. You need to go out of the meeting and come back in.
Lizzie, if it's compounded monthly, do we divide it by 52?
No, how many months do you have in a year?
12.
There we go. Those are your number of compounding periods.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. To answer the question, we know what formula we need to use. I am going to do it for you in this instance because I know most of you might be stuck somewhere. So we know that the formula is S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. We need to divide, remove P this side, so it will be S divided by P, and we will be left with 1 plus R to the power T. And to get T to come and be the subject of the formula, we need to apply the log. So if we do the log on one side, S over P is equals to the log of 1 plus R to the power T. And this, in a simple term, when we apply the log, it means the number that is in the power will multiply with the log of 1 plus R. and this will be log S over P, and we divide both sides by the log of 1 plus RT, oh sorry, log of 1 plus R, which then this side becomes log S over P divided by the log of 1 plus R equals to T. We will be left with T on one side, and then you can substitute into the formula. So we substitute the values. So we'll have the log of 9165.37 divided by 6800 divided by the log of 1 plus, what is our R? It's 0.12 divided by 12, which gives us 0.12 divided by 12 will give us 0.01. Let me see here. My calculator is in 2 decimals. Let me put it 0.01. And therefore this will be plus 0.01. And those who are using the financial calculator, you must look for your log sign. It's on the button number 1. So you can say second function log, and you open the bracket and press the open bracket and put in the 9165.37, and you press the division sign for the divide by 6800, close the bracket, and because it's a division again, you can divide by second function the log again to get to the log, and open the bracket and say 1 plus 0.01 and close the bracket, and you will have the log of 9165.37 divided by the log of divide by 68.0 divided by the log of 1 plus 0.01. And when you press equal sign and you say second setup 00, if your calculator was in 4 decimals, you just say setup 002, and it will take you to 2 decimals, and the answer will be 30.00, and your T will be equals to 30.00, which is option number 1. And that's how you answered those questions when you're doing it manually in the exam as well. And those who are using the Casio, you must look for the log function somewhere on the function buttons at the top. It's usually somewhere around the line or somewhere there, sometime closer to the far right-hand side of your functions on your calculators.
And Elise, if you're using a sharp?
If you are using the sharp scientific calculator or financial calculator?
Scientific.
Scientific calculator on the sharp, you will find it on the function somewhere there at the top. You must look for it. I don't know where it is, but you must look for it. It's somewhere there on the at the top side. Yeah. Yes.
Or I must use second function and a log.
Yes. You will see if it's written in orange, you say second
orange,
function
yes.
log. Yes,
Yes,
you will
it's
say
orange.
second function log. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And those who are using the Casio, it's just the log. So you just say log and you use the bracket. You have the log. It's the second row function on the functions, and you say the log and you put the open bracket and you put 9165.37 and you press the division, and then you say 6800 and you close the bracket because you do have the brackets, And you can say equal, or you can continue and put the division because we want to divide, and you go press again the log, open bracket, and you do 1 plus 0.1 close bracket, and you say equal. It will give you the answer. Do you have any other questions? In the absence of those questions, you have other exercises that you can do, but at the later stage we will do with the financial calculator, and then we can do more of those exercises. Okay, and that concluded the manual calculations. So let's look at how we apply the financial calculator. We're going to use the same example we used, and we know that the future value was 1030. Every time from now on, everybody who has a financial calculator, I beg you, and I beg you, every time you answer the questions on financial, except when you do simple interest and simple discount, please make sure that you understand the steps, because all the steps are the same. From now on until we do amortization, you will still be doing the same steps. I will show you the calculator just now, but before I show you the calculator, I want you to follow me when I do this exercise. And when I show you the calculator, this screen will disappear. You will need to write the steps as I give you. So every time you get a question on any financial question, you need to state what you are given. So like you will say your present value is 500. And then you will say your interest, because your interest on your calculator is INY, is equals to 0.075, which is 7.5 divided by 100 will give you 0.75, and you will be given N, and your N is your period, which is 10 years, and then it's compounding periods, and your compounding periods are annually, which is 1. So you need to always state what you are given in a form of your financial calculator. If you have your financial calculator in front of you, you will see the first row on the functions. That first row is the only row you will need to use to calculate your financial calculation, plus the number functions. That's it. So you just need that first row, which starts with the N and ends with the comp. Those are the only thing you will need for today's session. And the only buttons we're going to be using is the N button, your INY button, your PV button. We skip the PMT. We'll use it when we do the annuities and amortization. We skip that one. You will need to use the FV, which is your future value. And the comp is the compute, which means you're going to be calculating something. The other functions you need to be using is the second function. Because if you look on the INY, I will keep on saying press the INY when we do the compounding periods. But in short, we are pressing, because we will have to press the second function first. Then it means we are pressing P/Y. And that's the only thing. And then when we capture the period, I will always say, always remember to do second function N. When I say do second function N, it means I'm saying press the multiply by the compounding period that you have done before, because we are doing that multiply by P/Y. And then you will have to store the value, because you need to press N again. So you will do second function N, and then you will press N again. So let's answer this question. I'm going to write the steps, and I expect you to also write those steps somewhere so that you don't lose them, because when I share my phone as a screen, so that you can follow the steps on the phone, okay? So that you don't lose those steps. So the first step, which is the important step, is second function CA, which is the mode button. I forgot to mention that. The mode button is below the red button, which is the on and off, which we're also going to be using. The mode is the CA button. It clears your calculator from any stored value. Then the second step, we need to put in our compounding periods. We know that our compounding periods, there are 1. So we say second function, and then we press the P/Y, which is the I and Y button. I always like to say press the I and Y because that's what you see. You press the P and Y, which is orange, and you press 1 and you do E and T. The reason why I want you to always put the compounding periods, even if the compounding period is 1, it's so that you always remember that the first step for doing any calculations, you need to put in the compounding periods, because if you forget to do this, your calculations will be wrong. So always remember to put in the compounding periods, even if it's 1. Then we're going to press the on and off button, which is the red button that is there. And then after that, we're going to press and put in the present value. When we are given the present value or the future value, we're always going to put the plus or minus in front of at least one of it. So for example, if we are given only the present value, so the present value will have a plus or minus in front of it, a minus sign. If we are given the present value and we are also given the future value, you can choose any one of them to have a minus in front. Only one of them can have a minus in front. So with this question, we are given the present value. You're going to press the plus or minus button. You can see it's somewhere at the bottom on your financial calculator, is between 0 and 1. You press that button and we're going to press the present value amount, which is 500, and you're going to press the function to store that value and say that value is a present value. We press the PV button. Once you're done, we can go press the interest. You just put in the interest. I did it all wrong right there. When you're calculating financial calculations, you do not divide by 100. So your interest will always stay as 7,5. So this interest here will always be 7,5. It will always be 7,5. So our interest will say 7,5. You will press 7,5 and you will say that is your I and Y, which is your interest. And once you have captured your interest, you are ready to capture your period. And our period is N is 10. So you're going to say 10, but we need to multiply by the compounding period so that we always remember. So we're going to say second function N, and we're going to press N again because we want to store that period multiplied by the compounding period. If you look on top of the N, there is a multiply by PY, which is why when I say second function N, it means I'm multiplying by the compounding period. And then when I press the N, I'm storing that value or the answer that I got there as my period. And then when I'm done, I can just compute what the question is asking me, because the question asks what is the compounded amount, which is my future value that I need to compute. And that will be my FV. So with that, I am going to share my phone so that then you can follow and see how we do this question. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't work, it's still fine. I am just going to ignore it and then we can do it another time. Let me know if you are able to see my calculator. I need answers. Are you able to see my calculator?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So if you are able to see it, then it means we can continue. Like, remember I said, the first row that you always need to remember, it is that row. We're always going to use that, which has the N, the INY in front, on top of the INY, you will see there is a PY. So to answer this question, we're first going to press the mode, second function, and we press the mode. So we say second function and press the mode for second function CA. I did something wrong there. Second function, mode, to clear my calculator from any stored values. And then we need to put in our compounding periods. And to put in the compounding period, we press second function, and then you press the PY, and then you're going to press 1, and we're going to press the ENT button. And that is the ENT button. And that stored our compounding period. And then we can go on and off our calculator. Now we are ready to put in all the other values. So we start with plus or minus 500. And we're going to store that as our present value.
Hi,
and then
you do that, please?
I will come back. And then we press the 7.5, 7.5, and it is our INY. We press the INY, and then we do the period, which is 10. So you say 10, and you say second function, and then we press N. You will see what it does. It says 10 multiplied by P and Y, and remember our P and Y is our compounding period. And when I press N, it will give me the answer for N, which is now has stored that value of N. And now I am ready to calculate. But sometimes you are not sure that you have done the numbers right. What you can do is you can use this recall button. What the recall button does is it goes and recall the numbers you have captured because you stored them on your calculator. If I press recall and I press PV, it should give me the amount for my present value. Let's say, for example, my present value actually was 5,000, not 500, and I can see that I've put it incorrectly. I can still go back and say plus or minus 500, and I press my present value, and it will store my new present value. The only time you have to start from scratch is if you put in your compounding periods wrong. For example, if I want to know what is my compounding period, I will say recall, and I go second function, and I press I and Y because my compounding periods are my P/Y. And when I do that, you can see the answer there. It says 1 because my compounding period is 1. And you can go on and on and on. Recall N, it should give me the value for my N. Recall N will give me the value for my N. And you can go on and off your calculator because your data is stored on your calculator. Now let's calculate, let's compute. So when we are satisfied that we have all the values, we can just press comp and then press FV, and you will see that we get exactly the same amount. I know that with these steps, it might seem like it takes longer. I'm telling you right now, these are the shortest and the easiest way of calculating your financial calculations. It is the shortest and the easiest because if you know the steps, you see all the steps the way they are, depending on what you are given, you only just swap around things as per what you are given. If they were asking you to calculate N, you just comp N because you have put in all the values that you have captured, you were given. And that's how you will calculate this. And then for those who still want me to repeat, we can repeat that because we can go second function CA, we clear our calculator from any stored value. So second function C8 clears our calculator from any stored information. So you always have to start with that because then if you don't do that, you will be using the old information that you have on your calculator. And then we are ready to capture our compounding period. Second function, I and Y, which is P and Y, 1, and then you press E and T. And I have my compounding period. I press on and off. You go off your calculator. Then you press plus or minus for my present value, which is 500, and you press PV. And you can even swap them. So for now, we can do 10, second function, N again. It's my period. Then I can put my interest, which is 7.5, which is my I and Y. And when I'm done, I can just press comp FV. It will be the same. And if I see that there is no answer on the question paper, I can go back and say recall I and Y. I see that it's 7.5. Yay, it means I've captured it right. Recall N, and if it changed that number and it becomes 20, it means there's something wrong that I did. If I say recall PV, it should give me 500. For example, if I know that it's compounded monthly and I have 10 years, I know 10 times 12 will give me 120. You don't even have to say second function, that you can go in and say 120 N. It stores it as a new value. And I can go back, and it will store that value as your period. But for the purpose of the interest, because interest needs to know that it has to, the calculator needs to know that it has to divide by the compounding period, you always have to remember to do that step where you capture the compounding period. And that is the cue to tell me that my phone battery is very low. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and we go back to the presentation. Let me know when we are back to the presentation. Are you now able to see the presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. I can stop sharing it and share again. Okay, and that's how.
I can see it now, yeah.
You're not seeing the presentation?
No, we can.
Okay. Okay, with that said, every time you answer any financial calculation using your financial calculator, please remember to write the steps for all your questions. Write them. In that way, you will learn, and it will stick into your mind that every time you do this, and you will see the more you practice, by the time you go write the exam, you won't even need to write the steps down, because you will know all the functions, and you will know that this is what I press when I go find information. And with that said, this was another example from your book, because the steps on your book, if you follow them, they explain exactly what we have been doing on your calculator. I haven't implemented anything new other than what they have. So you can use them to practice and practice and practice. And there is your question. How long it will take for an investment to double if the annual interest rate is 10% and the interest is compounded every 4 months? Now, with this type of a question, sometimes people get frustrated because you're not given any amount, but the question has given you everything you need. They say for how long, which means they are looking for T. They are asking you, it will double. Therefore, it means it starts somewhere. It starts somewhere as a single and it ends up being a double. So it means it starts somewhere as a 1, and my present value was 1. That will be my present value. And therefore, it means my future value doubled. Therefore, my future value becomes 2. You can choose any value. It doesn't have to be 1 and 2. It can be 100. And when 100 doubles, it becomes 200. You can choose 5,000. When 5,000 doubles, it becomes 10,000. You can choose 100,000. When 100,000 doubles, it becomes 200,000. It depends on you which value you want to choose. You will still get the same answer. Whether I use 500 and it doubles to 1,000, it will still mean the same thing. Whether I use 3 doubles to a 6, it will still mean the same thing. So they've given you that. So you can choose. So anybody can choose their own present value. You can choose how much that present value. If you choose 300 as your present value, what is the double of your 300? That will be your future value. So choose that. Choose the single and then double that. It will be your present value and your future value. That's that. And then here they give you your interest, which is your R, and they say it is compounded every 4 months. What is compounded every 4 months mean? What is every 4 months?
Quarterly.
It is compounded. Is it quarterly? Every 4 months. Quarter has 4 months or 3 months. 3, 6, 9, 12.
3.
What is every 4 months? So it means it's 3. Your compounding periods will be equivalent to 3. It cannot be quarterly. It cannot be 4 because 4 months, if a year has 12 months, so it means it will your compounding periods for 4 months, then this compounding periods will be equivalent to 3. And that will be your compounding periods. So your compounding periods, because it cannot be quarterly, it cannot be half yearly, it cannot be weekly. It's compounded every 4 months. So this is a new one, compounded every 4 months. It means if a year has 12 months, every 4 months, it means the first 4, the second 4, the fourth 4 makes up the 12 months. Just give me a second. Just give me a Sorry about that. It was one of the UNISA administrator calling me. I will call them back just now. Okay, so if it's compounded every 4 months, it means it's compounded 3. Its compounding periods are equivalent to 3. And then you can do the steps. Remember, we're using the financial calculator. Second function, CA. Second function, I like to use I and Y, but let's use P and Y, and this will be 3, and you press E and T. On and off your calculator, plus or minus. I chose 100. You can choose any amount you want to choose. So mine is 100. It will be my present value. And when 100 rand doubles, it becomes 200, and that will be my future value. And my interest is 10%, which is 10 I and Y. I will press the I and Y. And you just comp. And then when I do the comp, I'm looking for how long. And this will be comp N. Now, here is the other thing. If you look at the answer you will get there, it will be a compounded answer. Therefore, it means when you have that answer, they want it in years. Therefore, it means you need to divide by the compounding period. So once you do the comp N, you will have to divide this by the compounding period, which are 3. So you will say comp N and say divide by 3, and it should give you and it should give you the value you are looking for on the options. And that's your exercise. It should be easy to find because I've already given you the steps. You don't even have to think of the steps. You just need to give the answer. Yes. And I see all of you have said it. Because the answer you get when you press, the answer here you will get will be 21,14. And then when you divide that answer by 3, you will get 7,05 in years. This is 21 every 4 months, whatever the number is, every 4 months. And this is in years. And with that said, it concludes today's session. Let's quickly recap on what we did today so that then we can all go home happy. We've learned how to do calculations on simple interest. We learned how to do calculations on compound interest with using manual calculations and also using the financial calculation. Always remember, simple interest, we're always going to use the formulas. Please do not try and answer simple interest calculations with the financial calculation functions. It will not work. Simple interest, we use the formulas, and those 2 formulas you will be given, which are or 3 formulas actually you will be given: your simple interest, your simple discount, and your future value of a simple interest. You will be given those 3 formulas in the exam. When we look at the compounding period or compounding interest, you will be given the formula, which is your S is equals to P times 1 plus R to the power T. And you always need to remember when you're doing the manual calculation to divide your rate by the compounding period and to multiply your period by the compounding period. And if you have a financial calculator, when we work with the compound interest, always use your financial calculator functions to calculate. It will save you a whole lot of time. The next time you do any calculations on your calculator, please remember to always write the steps so that then they always stick in your mind, because the more you write them, the more you understand them. And try and do a whole lot of exercises from your past exam paper and go through them. And remember, you can get in touch with me on the WhatsApp group if you have any question related to QMI or BNU based on what we did. You can also talk to me on the WhatsApp group. I don't promise that I will answer your question immediately, but I promise I will get there some time to help you. And thank you for being part of today's session. Let's chat on WhatsApp. If you have any questions, you can ask. Yes.
Okay, Lizzie, in the previous exercise that you just did and the previous one before there, I saw this, there is a 10-second function n, and so why is there is always 10?
No, it's not always 10.
Okay.
It's not always 10, but the 10 is, that 10 is because they say 10 years. So they gave us 10 years. So we use the 10 years as our period, our T, our N. It's because they gave us that. It's not always going to be that, because, for example, on this one, the period was 5 years. You see there? And the function, if you look on there, it says 5 second function, and that you will press N and then N again. That times P/Y, it's N, and then you press N again. And that's the same thing. So the period, you must use the period. Okay. It's just that I use the same exercise.
Okay,
I use this from the previous one. Yes. Any other questions? If there are no other questions.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Hi. If I did the calculation out, but not this with a scientific financial calculator, sorry, a financials calculator. I did it with a scientific one. Can I post it on the group and then ask you if it's correct, because I didn't get the same answer?
On which one did you do?
The last one we just worked on
This
for
question,
7.5 years.
This one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to show me all your workings. You must show me how you did your
The log.
calculation. Then
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
I will. Yes.
Okay, I'll post it on the group then, and then okay. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you guys. I will see you in May. I think we have 3 more sessions in May. And then it will be adios.